Stop right there. If you ever text a man one of these messages, you're setting yourself up for disaster. You might think it's harmless, but it's crippling your relationships. And today we're fixing that. Words shape perception. They reveal who you are, what you tolerate, and how much you value yourself. One wrong text can shatter attraction, weaken respect, and make you look desperate. But when you master communication, you command presence, dignity, and admiration. In this video, we'll break down 6 texts you should never send a man, because the way you text defines how you're treated. Never, ever text a man this. The moment those words leave your fingers and appear on his screen, you've already weakened your position. Why? Because it screams insecurity. It tells him that his mood, his reactions, and his behavior dictate your emotional state. That is not the foundation of strength. That is the foundation of dependence, and dependence is the opposite of attraction. Understand this. When a man is upset, distant, or withdrawn, there's a reason. But that reason is not always about you. People go through things. They have bad days, moments of stress, and internal battles that have nothing to do with the relationship. The worst thing you can do is assume responsibility for his silence or his mood. A woman who asks, "Are you mad at me?" is subconsciously seeking reassurance instead of standing in her own confidence. And when you do that, you shift the dynamic in a dangerous way. Here's the reality. If a man is upset with you and he values you, he will tell you, he will communicate, he will express it in his own way. And if he doesn't, that's not your problem. You are not responsible for reading minds, for fixing unspoken issues, or for solving emotional puzzles that he hasn't even verbalized. Instead of chasing answers, observe his actions. A man's behavior over time tells you everything you need to know. Now let's go deeper. Why do women send this text? Because they fear disconnection. They fear losing someone's affection. But you must shift your mindset. Fear-driven communication will always push people away. Strength and self-respect, however, are magnetic. A woman who assumes she is still valued, still respected, and still worth someone's time does not send texts like this. She moves with the quiet confidence of someone who knows her worth is not up for debate. So what should you do instead? First, recognize your emotional patterns. When you feel that urge to text, pause, ask yourself, why do I feel the need to send this? If the answer is fear, doubt, or a craving for reassurance, do something that reinforces your own sense of self. Go for a walk. Engage in something that improves you. Because a person who values themselves does not seek external validation for their existence. Second, trust in the natural flow of relationships. If a man is temporarily distant, allow space. If he's permanently distant, let him go. Begging for clarity only makes you appear desperate, and desperation is not attractive. If someone wants you in their life, they will show you. And if they don't, that's your answer, without a single word being spoken. Attraction is not built on anxiety. It is built on respect, confidence, and self-assurance. So the next time your fingers hover over your phone ready to type, "Are you mad at me?" Stop. Stand up. And remember, the moment you stop seeking approval is the moment you gain true power. This is one of the most damaging texts you can send to a man because it reveals deep insecurity, neediness, and a lack of self-worth. The very act of asking this question shifts the power dynamic in your relationship. It hands over control of your self-esteem to someone else. And once you do that, you no longer stand as an equal in the relationship. You become someone seeking approval, validation, and reassurance, none of which are attractive traits. When a woman asks, "Do you still like me?" what she's really saying is, "I don't trust that I am enough." She is doubting herself, questioning her value, and looking for an external source to confirm that she is still wanted. But here's the truth. Attraction is not something that can be maintained through constant validation. It is something that exists naturally when you operate from a place of confidence. The more you chase reassurance, the more you push it away. Men are drawn to women who assume they're valuable, not women who need to be told they are. Think about it. When you meet a truly confident person, do they go asking if people like them? No, they move with certainty. They know their worth, and that certainty commands respect. The same applies in relationships. The moment you question if a man still likes you, you introduce doubt into the equation. Doubt about your own worth, doubt about the relationship, and doubt about whether you even believe you are lovable. And once doubt enters, it weakens everything. Now, let's break this down logically. If a man does like you, he will show you through his actions. He will make time for you. He will engage in conversation. He will prioritize you in his life. If you have to ask whether he still likes you, it likely means one of two things. Either you are overthinking and projecting your own insecurities onto the situation, or he has already started pulling away. And in either case, sending this text will not fix the problem. It will only highlight the insecurity. If he is pulling away, the best thing you can do is mirror his energy. If he texts less, you text less. If he stops making plans, you stop trying to force them. This does not mean playing games. It means respecting yourself enough to recognize that you should never have to beg for someone's attention. If someone wants to be in your life, they will be there. No reminders, no chasing, no convincing. Instead of sending, "Do you still like me?" Shift your mindset. If you ever feel the urge to ask this question, pause and reflect. Where is this insecurity coming from? Is there an actual shift in his behavior, or are you reacting to your own fears? Instead of externalizing your self-worth, focus on building it internally. The strongest relationships are formed between two people who already know their value, not between one person who is constantly seeking reassurance from the other. Another key factor to understand is that attraction thrives on certainty. When you question a man's feelings, you introduce uncertainty, not just for yourself, but for him as well. If he was interested before, this kind of message might make him start second-guessing. Instead of deepening attraction, you are unintentionally pushing him away. Men respect confidence. They respect women who trust in the connection, not those who need to be constantly reminded that it exists. So what should you do instead? First, develop an abundance mindset. Understand that your worth is not tied to one man's feelings about you. If he likes you, great. If he doesn't, you move forward with the knowledge that you deserve to be with someone who is certain. Second, focus on how he treats you over time. One bad day or a moment of silence doesn't mean he's lost interest. Look at the bigger picture before jumping to conclusions. And most importantly, remember this. When you believe you are valuable, the right people will naturally be drawn to you. Confidence is not about being arrogant or dismissive. It is about knowing that you are already enough. The moment you stop questioning your worth is the moment you become truly powerful in love, in relationships, and in life itself. These 4 words have the power to strike fear into any man's heart. The moment he sees "we need to talk" pop up on his phone screen, his brain goes into overdrive. What did I do wrong? What's about to happen? Is she breaking up with me? This phrase is loaded with tension, uncertainty, and an underlying expectation of conflict. It doesn't encourage communication. It triggers anxiety. And when people feel anxious, they either shut down, get defensive, or prepare for the worst. None of these reactions lead to a healthy, productive conversation. Communication is the foundation of every strong relationship. But how you communicate determines whether that foundation is built on trust or fear. When you text a man, "we need to talk," you are creating unnecessary pressure. You are making him anticipate something negative without giving him any context. It's vague, it's ominous, and it puts him in a mental state where he's preparing for confrontation rather than open dialogue. And here's the truth. When someone feels like they are walking into an ambush, they don't listen to understand. They listen to defend. Now, let's talk about why people send this text. More often than not, women send "we need to talk" because they are upset about something and want to address it. That's completely valid. But the way you frame a conversation determines how it unfolds. If you lead with tension, you invite tension in return. If you lead with clarity, you create a space for resolution. Instead of using vague, fear-inducing phrases, be direct. If something is bothering you, say exactly what it is. Hey, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. Are you free later? Is far better than a looming, uncertain, we need to talk. Men, by nature, prefer clear and straightforward communication. They don't operate in the realm of hidden meanings or emotional guessing games. When you use ambiguity, you force them into a state of uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds discomfort. If you genuinely want to have a constructive conversation, you need to remove the fear factor from your approach. If it's a serious issue, state it clearly but calmly. If it's something minor, don't blow it out of proportion by making it seem like an impending disaster. Another reason why we need to talk is problematic is that it creates a power imbalance. The person sending this message automatically takes on the role of the judge, while the recipient is put in the position of the accused. Even if your intention isn't to start a fight, the wording alone puts the other person on the defensive. Instead of fostering an open discussion, it makes the conversation feel like an interrogation. And when people feel like they're being cornered, their instinct is to either shut down or push back, not to engage in healthy, meaningful dialogue. So what should you do instead? First, before you even send a message, ask yourself, what is my goal? Do you want resolution, or do you just want a vent? Do you want to strengthen the relationship, or are you just reacting emotionally in the moment? Clarity in your own mind leads to clarity in communication. Second, choose words that invite a response, not resistance. If you need to address an issue, say something like, hey, I'd love to talk about something important. When do you have time? This keeps the conversation open and collaborative rather than confrontational. It shows that you respect the other person's time and mental space while still prioritizing the discussion. And third, understand that how you say something is just as important as what you say. If you enter a conversation with anger, frustration, or passive aggression, that energy will be reflected back at you. But if you approach it with calmness, confidence, and directness, you create an environment where solutions can actually happen. At the end of the day, real strength in communication isn't about control. It's about clarity. The words you choose shape the way people respond to you. And the more you master your words, the more you master your relationships. So the next time you feel tempted to type, we need to talk, stop. Take a deep breath and reframe your approach, because powerful communication isn't about inducing fear. It's about creating understanding. These two words may seem harmless, but they are anything but fine. When a woman texts, it's fine to a man, she's rarely saying what she actually means. Instead, she's using these words as a shield, a way to hide frustration, disappointment, or hurt feelings without directly addressing the issue. And while this might feel like the easier route in the moment, it creates a long-term problem: miscommunication. Men and women communicate differently. While women often use subtlety, implication, and emotional cues to express their feelings, men respond to directness and clarity. When you say it's fine, but actually mean I'm upset, and I need you to understand why, you are expecting him to read between the lines. But here's the reality. Most men will take your words at face value. If you say it's fine, he will assume it is fine and move on, completely unaware that you are still stewing over an unresolved issue. This is where resentment starts to build. You might think if he really cared, he would know something is wrong, but this is a dangerous assumption. Love is not mind reading. Respect is not telepathy. If you want someone to understand you, you have to communicate in a way that allows them to do so. Expecting a man to decode your emotions without clear expression only sets you up for disappointment and frustration. Now let's go deeper. Why do women say it's fine instead of addressing the real issue? Often it's because of fear of confrontation, fear of being perceived as too emotional, or fear of not having their feelings validated. But true strength in a relationship comes from honesty, not suppression. When you suppress your emotions, you don't eliminate the problem, you just postpone it. And the longer you bottle things up, the more explosive they become later. Another major issue with it's fine is that it creates emotional distance. It teaches the other person that you are not willing to engage in open communication. Over time, this can make a man feel like he's walking on eggshells, unsure of when you actually mean what you say and when you are just covering up frustration. This weakens trust and erodes emotional intimacy. A healthy relationship requires both people to feel safe expressing themselves without fear of judgment or rejection. So what should you do instead? First, practice self-awareness. The next time you feel tempted to say it's fine, ask yourself, am I actually fine, or am I avoiding an uncomfortable conversation? If something is truly bothering you, acknowledge it. You don't have to be aggressive or confrontational. You just need to be honest. Second, use direct communication. Instead of it's fine, try I feel frustrated because, or that upset me, and here's why. This shifts the conversation from passive aggression to, it allows the other person to understand what's wrong and address it, rather than leaving them confused or unaware. And third, recognize that emotional honesty is not a weakness, it's a strength. A confident woman does not hide behind vague words or expect others to guess her feelings. She speaks her truth with certainty. She understands that healthy communication is the key to strong relationships, and she refuses to let fear dictate her interaction. At the end of the day, the way you communicate determines the quality of your relationships. If you want understanding, be clear. If you want respect, be honest. And if you want deeper connection, stop saying it's fine when it's not. Because real strength isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about having the courage to express yourself with confidence. At first glance, saying I hate drama might seem like a harmless, even admirable statement. After all, no one wants unnecessary conflict or emotional chaos in their life, right? But here's the truth. When a woman texts this to a man, it often raises red flags rather than reassuring him. Why? Because in many cases, the people who claim to hate drama, the most are the ones who... Let's break this down. When a man sees I hate drama in a message, his first thought might be, why is she saying this? Is she warning me that she has a history of conflict? Is she trying to convince me of something before I even think otherwise? More often than not, people who truly avoid drama don't feel the need to declare it. They simply live in a way that reflects it. They handle issues with maturity, communicate with clarity, and don't get involved in unnecessary conflicts. The irony is that when a woman texts, I hate drama, she's usually in the middle of or on the verge of some kind of conflict. It's a defensive phrase, one that subtly shifts blame away from herself and onto others. It implies that if drama does occur, she isn't responsible for it. But real emotional maturity isn't about rejecting conflict altogether. It's about handling it with grace. Saying, I hate drama doesn't prevent drama. It just signals avoidance, which can be just as damaging. Now, let's talk about the deeper issue. Why do women send this text? Many times, it's an attempt to position themselves as the cool, easygoing type. The woman who doesn't overreact, who doesn't bring emotional baggage, who is effortless to be with. But here's the reality. Every human being has emotions. Every person at some point will experience misunderstandings, frustrations, and disagreements. What matters is not avoiding all conflict, but knowing how to navigate it in a healthy, mature way. When a man hears, I hate drama, he may actually interpret it as I don't know how to handle my emotions maturely, or I run from difficult conversations. A high-value man doesn't want a partner who pretends conflict doesn't exist. He wants someone who can address issues with honesty, composure, and confidence. Relationships will have difficult moments, and the ability to handle them with grace is what separates strong, lasting connections from unstable, fragile ones. So what should you do instead? First, recognize that emotional intelligence is far more attractive than avoidance. Instead of saying, I hate drama, focus on demonstrating maturity through your actions. If a situation arises that requires discussion, approach it with logic and calmness rather than dismissing it as drama. Second, reframe your mindset about conflict. Drama is what happens when people react emotionally without resolution. Healthy communication is what happens when people express their feelings with clarity and a willingness to find solutions. If you genuinely dislike drama, prove it. Not by avoiding all difficult conversations, but by handling them with emotional stability. And third, understand that being low maintenance isn't about pretending to be unaffected by everything. It's about maintaining self-respect. A confident woman doesn't need to announce that she hates drama because she naturally operates above it. She doesn't engage in petty conflicts, nor does she avoid necessary conversations out of fear. Instead, she carries herself with emotional discipline and knows that relationships thrive not because they are free of conflict, but because both people know how to manage it. At the end of the day, true strength in a relationship comes from emotional maturity, not from claiming to avoid drama altogether. A strong woman doesn't run from challenges. She faces them with grace. She doesn't suppress her feelings. She communicates them effectively. And most importantly, she understands that real connection isn't built on avoiding discomfort. It's built on learning how to handle it with confidence and wisdom. They might seem harmless, even casual. But when you send this message over and over again, especially without getting a response, you are sending a much louder message than you think. And it's not the message you want to be sending. Let's be brutally honest here. Repeatedly texting, hey, without receiving a reply isn't just ineffective. It communicates neediness, insecurity, and a lack of self-respect. When a man doesn't respond and you keep reaching out with the same empty message, what you're really doing is signaling that you need his attention. And the moment you start chasing attention, you lower your value in his eyes. Men, particularly high-value men, are naturally drawn to women who have self-respect, confidence, and a sense of purpose beyond a text conversation. When you keep sending hey with no response, you are telling him, I have nothing better to do than wait for you to notice me. And no strong, self-respecting woman should ever put herself in that position. Now, let's break down why this happens. Why do women repeatedly send hey or other empty texts when they don't get a response? More often than not. It's rooted in anxiety, fear of rejection. You might start overthinking. Did he forget to reply? Did I say something wrong? Is he losing interest? This anxiety then translates into repeated attempts to reinitiate contact, even when the other person's lack of response is already an answer in itself. But here's the truth. If a man is interested in you, you won't have to chase his attention. He will make an effort to engage with you, to respond to you, to show that he values the connection. A man who genuinely likes you will not ignore you or force you into a position where you have to keep reaching out with no reciprocation. And if you are in a situation where you feel like you have to keep sending messages just to get a response, then you need to ask yourself, why am I investing in someone who isn't investing in me? This is where self-worth comes into play. A confident woman knows that she doesn't need to beg for attention. She knows that her value isn't determined by how quickly or how often someone texts her back. She understands that true connection is based on mutual effort, not on one-sided pursuit. So what should you do instead? First and foremost, stop texting first all the time. If you send a message and he hasn't responded, leave it alone. Give him space. If he's interested, he will show it without you having to force the interaction. And if he's not responding at all, that's all the information you need. He's either too distracted, too uninterested, or too emotionally unavailable to give you the kind of engagement you deserve. In any of those cases, chasing him will never change the outcome. Second, focus on yourself instead of waiting by your phone. If you catch yourself wanting to send another hey just to get a reaction, stop and redirect that energy. Go do something that adds value to your own life. Work on your goals. Invest in your passions. Spend time with people who genuinely care about you. The more you cultivate your own sense of worth, the less you'll feel the need to seek validation through a text message. And third, raise your standards. If you wouldn't beg for attention in person, don't do it over text. If a man is showing you through his actions that he isn't prioritizing communication with you, take it as a sign and move forward. The right person will make an effort. The right person will not leave you guessing. And the right person definitely won't require you to send hey 5 times in a row just to get noticed. At the end of the day, confidence is the most attractive quality you can have. A high-value woman does not chase. She attracts. She does not beg for attention. She commands respect. And most importantly, she understands that her worth is far greater than a man who can't even be bothered to respond. So the next time you feel tempted to send another hey with no response, stop. Step back. And remember this, the right man for you will never make you feel like you have to fight for his attention.